Okie doke. More revenue from me then.
So it appears that I've been neglecting the content updates that come up for Killing Floor 2. Well, I shouldn't really say neglect, is more that I haven't had the time to really talk about it. And eventually I will get back on the two perks that I have missed, being Sharpshooter and Survivalist. But instead today, like the title says, we're going to be looking at the most recent update known as the Descent update. And what does this update involve? Well, it includes the return of a highly lovely flare revolver from Killing Floor 1, the first ever LMG in Killing Floor known as the Stoner 638, a community map called Nuked, and finally a new map from Tripwire called The Descent, with a new sub-game coming out with it called Holdout. So all in all, it is a reasonably sized update. However, I won't be talking much about Nuked in this video because, well, there's not much really to say on it. It's a community map and it's really great, and I absolutely love that it's been put into the main rotation of the game. But instead, we're going to start off with the new map Descent from Tripwire and the new sub-game mode that comes with it called Holdout, which doesn't sound like what it actually is. When I first heard of the game mode Holdout, I thought it was going to be an endless mode. Instead, it's something on a little bit more of a creative side. The new Holdout mode is evolved around changing the areas in each wave to keep the game feeling fresh at each turn. The way this is presented in game, however, can feel a bit lackluster at times. And for the Descent being the first map to be brought into the game of Killing Floor with the new sub-game mode, I don't feel fully satisfied. Don't get me wrong though, the map looks brilliant and I love how it feels like you're slowly descending into the catacombs of Hans' lair. I just don't feel like there's enough sub-areas in this map to show its full potential. I have a feeling though, once map makers get the idea of how to make this themselves, there'll be some really good ideas down the line. And actually, I have an idea myself which I called Shattered Memories. However, I doubt I'll ever make it because I'm not really into map making at the moment. If anybody wants to take that title though, go ahead. So moving on from the sub-game mode, let's look at the map itself. You start off in part of Volta Manor, which is pretty cool for canon reasons. The map itself, however, does feel very cramped and closed off at times. However, this is due to being the starting area, but once you've beaten the first wave, there's a hatch which will open and you're allowed to go and progress further into the map. And spoilers, you can't really stay in one area. The game will just kind of throw you into the next area, which is a tad disappointing. It'd have been a nice fun little challenge to just stay in the first area and keep with what you've got for the rest of the game. But like I was saying, you're taken down into the next area chosen at random, and pretty much it's focused on close quarters. So sharpshooters, if there are any, tough luck. This isn't the ideal map for yourself, but berserkers and support, go nuts. Altogether, I haven't really got many negative thoughts towards this map, as it's generally pretty good and fun, but I think, like I was saying earlier, my biggest complaint with this map is probably the lack of variation. I would love to see runs for the map where you go into one familiar area and then have a completely different route, or maybe players can choose their own path for the first area and then be split off until they meet at the end. Again, this might be possible, we just don't know what the full potential of Holdout actually is. Actually, if anybody who is a map maker just heard that, please see if you can do that, because I would fucking love to see that. But unfortunately, I'd love to keep talking about maps, but there's more to discuss in this pack. From here, it's now the two new weapons. Normally, I don't really talk much about stats because I go by the idea of, are they fun to use? I'd rather have a fairly average stat weapon, but make it feel rewarding and fun to use compared to an overpowered weapon that feels like a piece of shit. Yep, looking at you there, Payday, with your fucking grenade launchers, which are a pile of arse. But this time I will be talking a bit about the stats, because while it does sound silly for a PvE game, for guns in Killing Floor it's kind of important, as that's the main focus of the game. The first gun coming up is the Spitfire, better known as the flare revolver from the previous Killing Floor game. It's basically like a flare gun, which is the primary focus for the Firebug. However, with the new cross-perk weapon system, this can now be used by different perks such as Sharpshooter as well as Gunslinger, which, to be fair, I absolutely love this mechanic. With the Spitfire you can choose to have it either akimbo or only hold the one. However, the problem I have with the single gun animation is it's the same animation used from the 1858 revolvers from Gunslinger, so holding one, it just seems a bit weird. I would have been fine honestly with a standard pistol animation, but it's not really worth crying over. When comparing the Spitfire to the flare revolver from Killing Floor 1, I can definitely say without a doubt that the Killing Floor 1 version was way stronger. In fact, it's a lot stronger according to the Tripwire wiki page, which is always a reliable source. The damage output for the Spitfire is in fact 40, while the flare revolvers over on Killing Floor 1 deal a damage rating of 125, which comparing the two is a major drop in damage. And while you can say, however, that the games work differently in the sense of damage, you can still see the difference in game. I can agree with nerfing them, as they were very good to use in the first Killing Floor, but I feel like Tripwire may have nerfed them a little bit too much in the second game. A little buff to the damage would be nice. However, even though I would prefer them to be buffed a tiny bit, it doesn't stop them feel satisfying. The sound is great, the animations look amazing, and the guns just look perfect. it's brought in a new spark into Firebug for me, so I actually am quite enjoying the perk again. Now, talking about buffs, let's talk about the final weapon from this update, which is the Stoner 638 LMG. So when I first heard about the term of an LMG being put into Killing Floor, I may have overreacted a little and lost my shit. The idea of mowing down Zeds in blind fire with an LMG just sounds fucking amazing. It sounds like you're getting Duke Nukem. However, in game, this isn't really the case. Now, don't get me wrong, the Stoner looks pretty, but the output and the sound of the gun just feel, well, disappointing. It sounds silly, but I expected more of an oomph from the gun, especially when it costs 1,500 dosh. I didn't expect it to be on par with the Scar, but what I find hilarious about this gun is in fact that it's actually weaker than the Varmint rifle. I really do not know how you fucking thought of that. You could argue that because the LMG uses more bullets, that it justifies it. However, you end up using more ammo than you would on the Varmint rifle to kill certain Zeds. So I could just easily go with the Scar and AK-12 and use a couple of rounds. I mean, come on Tripwire, the fact that the Scar does double the damage for the same price weapon and I will pay less for ammo, it just doesn't make sense. Unless I wanted to feel like Rambo, I'd just go for the Scar. In fact, on Suicidal and Hell on Earth, you'd be considered an idiot for using this weapon. Honestly, I think damage-wise, this could easily sit between the AK-12 and the bullpup. That would make more sense and it'd be perfectly fine. But instead, the Varmint rifle is just shitting all over it. Even though I like the Varmint rifle, that is quite funny because it's probably the shittest commando weapon out of the bunch. And again, the Stoner's here now, so I guess that's not the case anymore. I know it does sound silly, but I feel like part of the issue was caused by Tripwire not having this in the test beta. For anyone who doesn't know what I mean by this, from the console version of Killing Floor, basically on PC for a while, it's a couple of weeks normally. We get to try out the weapons beforehand and give some feedback. But this is the first update where they didn't actually do that, and I feel like that did cause part of the issue. As to be honest, I would love to have used the Stoner more, but after a couple of weeks I'm just going to end up going back to the Scar and AK routine because there's nothing better. Overall though, the Descent pack is alright. There's nothing I really despise about it, but there are a few areas that do need improvement. And I'm definitely excited to see what comes out of the new holdout mechanic. And the two weapons over time may actually find their place within the game. And, well, like I said before, Nuked is great as it is, just go fucking play the map. Brilliant. And well, that's pretty much it. That's the entire Descent pack altogether. I mean, there are skins over there in the corner, which, to be honest, why would you fucking make a video talking about them? Oh wait, I did that before. But all in all, I'd love to hear what you guys think. So if you want to leave a comment below, maybe I was wrong about something, maybe you prefer something, or maybe you think I should just shut up altogether, which I will be doing now. I have been Sir Crackerbull, thanks for watching, and happy hunting.